Before we begin, take a moment to slow down. Find a quiet place. Let your shoulders drop. Inhale slowly, and exhale gently. This isn't a video to watch. It's an experience to feel. Let it meet you where you are. What if everything you believe about yourself, the stress, the fears, the constant noise in your head, was never truly who you are? What if calm isn't something you need to search for out there, but something already within you, waiting quietly to be seen? You came here not for more noise, but for stillness. For something softer. Something deeper. A place where your thoughts can slow down. And your heart can finally rest. Here at Silent Wisdom, we don't offer fast answers or loud advice. We offer space. To feel. To reflect. To begin again. Each word you'll hear is a step. Each silence, an invitation. And if you're tired, if your thoughts are loud, you're in the right place. Because the insight you've been searching for has always been listening to you. Now that you're ready, we invite you on a journey through 6 timeless truths that have guided millions toward peace, impermanence, karma, letting go, acceptance, mindfulness, and the transformation of the mind. These are not ideas to study. They are mirrors to see yourself clearly. And if you're still enough, you may just realize that who you truly are has been waiting for you all along. So pause, settle, and come home. Because here, stillness begins to speak. Chapter 1, The Flow of All Things, A Journey Through Impermanence, Anicca. Change doesn't knock. It doesn't ask if we're ready. It enters like the tide, unbothered by our expectations, indifferent to our resistance. One moment, we are holding the warmth of laughter. The next, we are clutching the memory of a goodbye. And yet, we still search for what won't leave. We build our hopes on foundations of permanence, even as the ground beneath us shifts like sand. The Buddha called this Anicca, impermanence. He didn't say it to frighten us. He said it to free us. Because once we see that nothing lasts, we begin to treat each thing as precious. The cup we hold, the hand we touch, the breath we're taking right now. When we forget Anicca, we grasp. We suffer. We try to pause the river. But when we remember it, we soften. We surrender. We float. Let me tell you a story. In a quiet village surrounded by windswept hills, there lived an old potter named Dharma. Each day, he would sit at his wheel, shaping clay into bowls, cups, and vases. His pieces were delicate, beautiful, and always sold quickly at the market. But Dharma had a secret. Every night, after his work was done, he would take one of his finest pots and, under the moonlight, he would break it. Not out of anger. Not from madness. But from understanding. A curious boy once followed him and asked, "Why do you break what you worked so hard to make?" Dharma smiled. "Because everything I make is already broken. It just hasn't happened yet. When I break the pot, I remind myself that beauty does not come from how long something lasts. It comes from how deeply we honor it while it's here." The boy didn't understand at first. But years later, when he lost his father, he remembered the old potter. And for the first time, grief did not shatter him. Because he had already seen that all forms break, yet the love remains. This is the wisdom Anicca offers. Not detachment, but devotion. Not coldness, but clarity. Not fear, but freedom. Because when you understand that every moment is passing, you stop trying to own it. And you start trying to live it. And this transforms everything. You listen more. You forgive quicker. You let people go when it's time. You stop chasing forever, and you start honoring now. Even your pain begins to shift. Not because it disappears, but because you stop clinging to what it used to be. To live with Anicca is to walk with open hands. To love without possession. To let the flower bloom, and let it fade, without demanding either to stay. Even in death, Anicca speaks with compassion. When the Buddha prepared for his final breath, Ananda wept. "Master," he said, "how can I live without you?" The Buddha replied, "Ananda, all things that are dear to us will change. Let not your sorrow come from surprise, but from love untainted by illusion." And in that moment, Ananda saw clearly, the Buddha was not leaving. Only his form was. What remained was the Dharma, the truth that doesn't die. And truth, once seen, lives in everything. So if you're holding on today, to a version of yourself, a memory, a person, a pain, pause. Ask gently, what if it's already gone? Not to create sadness, but to awaken appreciation. The most sacred things are not the ones we keep. They are the ones we meet fully, before they pass. So hold this moment not like a trophy, but like a feather in a palm. Let it rest. Let it lift. And when it leaves, let it go with grace. Because nothing lasts. And that is what makes everything matter.
The mind is the forerunner, the mind is chief, the mind creates all. If one speaks or acts with a corrupt mind, suffering follows like the wheel that follows the foot of the ox.
Chapter 2, The Ripple of Karma, a journey through cause and effect. In the stillness between one breath and the next, lies a truth too subtle for the eyes, yet too profound to be denied. Karma. A word whispered through ages. Often misunderstood, yet quietly guiding every heartbeat, every motion of the mind, every step of the soul. It is not fate, nor punishment, nor reward from some distant hand. Karma is cause and effect, life responding to life, without bias, without delay. It is the echo of our every intention, returning not to punish or praise, but to balance, to teach, to awaken. In a world searching for justice, we forget, life itself is the great mirror. Every thought sends a ripple. Every word carries weight. Every act, whether hidden or seen, becomes a wave, finding its way back to shore. The universe doesn't keep score. It reflects. And in that reflection, we meet ourselves, again and again. Karma is not only shaped by what we do, but by why we do it. Two people may give a loaf of bread, one from love, the other from guilt. The gesture appears the same, yet the fruit it bears differs. Because in the realm of karma, intention is the soil, action the seed, and consequence, the harvest. There is an old story, passed quietly from teacher to student. A boy named Sanda lived in a village, nestled between golden hills. He was clever, restless, sharp with words. One morning, he hid a monk's begging bowl and laughed as the elder searched beneath the sun. The villagers scolded him. But the monk simply bowed. He does not yet understand the river he has stepped into, the monk said. But he will, in time. Years passed. Sanda became wealthy, admired. Then, during a banquet, his voice failed him. Words tangled. Laughter turned to silence. A rare disorder slowly took his speech. He tried medicine, prayers, silence. But karma had already begun to return. And yet, karma is not cruelty. It is a mirror. But also, an invitation. Remembering the monk, Sanda returned home. The elder, now ancient, sat beneath a fig tree. When Sanda bowed, the monk smiled. The river brought you back, he whispered. Now, plant new seeds. And so, Sanda began again. Though voiceless, he built schools, funded healers, became a vessel of presence. His voice was gone, but his karma sang. This is the power of awareness. Karma is not a prison. It is a teacher. When we awaken to it, we stop asking, why me, and begin asking, what now? And that changes everything. The pain we resisted becomes the path we walk. The enemies we cursed become the mirrors we study. The fire we feared becomes the warmth of compassion. No one escapes karma, but no one is condemned by it either. Every moment is a turning point. Even a life once misled can shift with a single act, a single thought, a single breath. Because karma is alive. It is not a sentence. It is a relationship. And what do we bring to it? Presence. Intention. Awareness. We pause before the word leaves our lips. We question the motive behind the smile. We remember, even silent thoughts are seeds. You may believe your actions are small, a kind word, a gentle look, a choice not to retaliate. But these shape not only your path, they ripple outward. Your healing may become someone else's peace. Your silence, a balm to another's grief. Your compassion may bloom in places you'll never see. So, don't fear karma. Revere it. Respect it. Let it bring you home, to what matters. Every step counts. Every moment holds the power to change everything. You begin to live differently. To speak not to win, but to understand. To act not to gain, but to give. To think, not with fear, but with clarity. You are not a victim of past karma. You are the gardener of the present. Plant your choices like flowers. Speak your words like prayers. Shape your thoughts like sunlight. And when the harvest comes, as it will, you will walk among the grace you once gave. You will drink from rivers you once blessed. Sit beneath trees you once planted, in silence. Because karma is not what happens to you, it is what unfolds from you. And this unfolding begins now.
The mind the source, from which all acts arise. Thoughts the roots, where kindness lies. Speak with soft words, act with gentle grace. Happiness blooms from a peaceful place.
Chapter 3, Letting Go, the Art of Peace Beyond Attachment. In this life, we are born with open hands. But somewhere along the way, we begin to close our fists. We cling to people, to things, to moments, to identities we believe define us. This is mine. This is who I am. This must never change. But the tighter we hold, the more we suffer. Not because life is cruel, but because life is always changing. And attachment resists that change. The Buddha once said, the root of suffering is attachment. Not desire in itself, but clinging, the refusal to let things come and go. We suffer not because someone leaves, but because we thought they would stay. Not because time moves, but because we begged it to stand still. Look around. Everything you love will change. Everyone you know will leave, or you will leave them. Your body, your youth, your achievements, they will pass like mist in morning sun. Yet this is not despair. It is the door to freedom. To see impermanence not as loss, but as life. To love without possession. To walk again, with open hands. Letting go is not weakness. It is not indifference. It is the strength to say, I don't need to control this moment, for it to be beautiful. It is the maturity to release the need to make things last. It is trust, in change, in life, in the deeper self, beyond all you cling to. Many believe letting go means giving up. But in truth, it is the beginning of real love, of joy, of peace. There is a story from the misty temples of Korea. A young monk named Heejin served his elderly master each day, tea, water, silence. He admired him and feared losing him. One autumn morning, as leaves fell like golden prayers, the master said, "It is time. I will be leaving this form soon. Take my robe, and this bell. Go down the mountain, and teach." "No, master," Heejin said. "I am not ready." The old monk smiled gently. "You are not holding on to me," he said. "You are holding on to the version of me in your mind." And then, his breath faded like the final note of a song. Grief struck Heejin like a storm. He could not speak, could not eat. He Saturday, beside the robes, hoping to reverse time. But one night, he dreamed, his master walking through a field of lotus. The monk turned and said, "To honor me, you must let me go. I am not in the robes, not in the bell. I am in the silence that taught you how to bow." Heejin awoke, and something softened. He carried the bell down the mountain, not to cling to the past, but to pass on the teaching. And wherever he went, he told the truth his master gave him. Letting go is not losing. It is returning. Return to presence. Return to peace. Return to the space within you, untouched by gain or loss. In the modern world, attachment takes many forms. We clutch not only people, but roles, status, image, noise. We fear silence. We define worth by what stays. But peace lives in surrender. What would happen if, just for a moment, you let go of trying to be perfect? Let go of needing their approval? Let go of making each moment last forever? You would pause. You would feel. You would meet the now, without needing it to become anything else. Letting go is not the absence of care. It is the presence of clarity. It is seeing a flower, knowing it will wilt, and loving it anyway. It is holding a child's hand, knowing they will grow and go. It is looking at your reflection and saying, This face will fade, but I will still smile. Because we are not the one who clings. We are the one who sees. The one who rides the wave, instead of building a dam. The one who floats with the river, instead of resisting its flow. All suffering begins in resistance. All freedom begins in letting be. Let the seasons turn. Let people come and go. Let emotions rise and fall. Let yourself be carried, not by force, but by flow. If something is meant for you, it will stay without grasping. If it's not, no amount of holding on will keep it. So open your hands. Open your heart. Watch what stays, not because you held it, but because love never needed chains. Letting go is not the end. It is the beginning of stillness, of peace, of a love unbound by fear. And in that space, you will find what's truly yours can never be lost. Because it was never outside you. It has always been within.
Cling not to what fades away, all things change, none will stay. Open hands receive with grace, peace is found in empty space.
Chapter 4, The Gentle Power of Embracing, a Buddhist Journey into Peace. There is a moment, still and simple, when the wind stops pushing, and the breath settles. The effort fades. It doesn't arrive with noise or signs. It comes like a whisper, like the early light that doesn't force the night to leave, it just arrives. That moment is called embracing. In a world obsessed with change, control, and resistance, embracing life as it is feels like a quiet strength. Buddhism reminds us, in this softness lies a deeper power. Not the power to shape life as we wish, but the power to flow with what life brings. The Buddha never offered a life without pain. What he shared was a way to carry that pain without falling beneath it. To stop struggling with what cannot be changed. To stop rejecting what has already entered. When we say, "This shouldn't have happened," we create a storm inside. But when we say, "This is what has come," we begin to settle into calm. Embracing is not surrender. It's not giving in or giving up. It is the brave act of facing life and saying, "Even this, I will meet." Even loss. Even illness. Even the slow change we never asked for. When you embrace, you don't become passive. You become awake. You stop battling the tide, and start learning how to float. There was once a woman named Myra who lived at the edge of the Himalayas. Her life was simple. She grew food on a small patch of land, cared for her aging parents, and found joy in ordinary things. But one spring, a landslide tore through her village. Her home was destroyed. Her father was hurt. And a season of blossoms turned into a season of sorrow. Neighbors came to help. Aid workers passed through. Yet Myra remained steady. She wept, yes. She mourned. But she did not break. A young helper asked her, "Why aren't you angry at the mountain?" Myra looked up at the dusty hills and said, "The mountain did not do this to harm me. The earth moves. That is its way. And I live on it, knowing that." She pressed her hand into the soil. "I don't ask the mountain to stay still. I ask my heart to learn how to move." Her words spread through the valley. Not because they stopped the landslides, but because they quieted the inner tremors of those who heard them. This is the heart of true embracing, not denying our hurt, but letting go of the belief that life should always please us. Pain is part of life. It's part of having a body that aches, a heart that loves, and a mind that questions. But suffering is pain plus struggle. Pain says, "This hurts." Suffering says, "This is wrong." And that thought builds a wall between us and peace. But if we stop fighting what is, something else opens. Have you ever watched how the sky holds every kind of weather? How the ocean does not resist the waves? Nature is our quiet teacher. It accepts what comes and lets go of what leaves. It does not cling to sunshine or run from the storm. It remains whole, by flowing with the rhythm of all things. So why do we fight so much? Because somewhere along the way, we were taught that control meant safety. That if we planned, fixed, and guarded enough, we could avoid hurt. But control is a passing illusion. And when it slips, through loss, betrayal, aging, or change, we panic. But the Dharma shows another way. A deeper view. That we were never asked to control life. We were asked to greet it. Fully. Gently. With courage. You lose someone you love, and the mind wants to rewrite the past. But what if, instead, you softened into the ache and said, "This, too, is love. The love that stays after farewell." You stumble at something you poured your heart into, and the ego wants to hide. But what if, instead, you looked at yourself and said, "This is what growth looks like." Not perfect. Still honest. Still brave. You age. You change. And the mirror shows someone new. But what if, instead of looking away, you whispered, "This, too, is worthy. This body is my map. Each mark is a place I've lived. A lesson I've walked." Embracing is the deepest act of compassion toward yourself. It says, "I may not enjoy this moment, but I will not turn away from who I am within it." And in that choice, something shifts. The heart begins to soften. The mind grows still. And something older than fear rises, the part of you that does not need perfect moments to feel peace. Embracing doesn't mean you stop growing or caring. It means you stop making your peace depend on things going your way. It means you find meaning in the middle of uncertainty. It means you no longer wait for calm to return, you learn how to move within the storm. There is quiet strength in meeting life without demand. A sacredness in saying, "This moment, just as it is enough to teach me." And when you live this way, you stop fearing the unknown. Because even if sorrow arrives, you know you will meet it. You have already met yourself in the dark, and you did not look away. This is what it means to wake up. Not to escape life, but to meet it, eyes open, heart steady, palms ready. Because what we push away, stays. But what we hold gently, begins to change. Let your pain teach you. Let your joy surprise you. Let your heart remain open to every shade of being alive. And when life shifts, as it always will, you won't break. You will bow. And in that bowing, you'll find a peace that asks for nothing outside of you. You'll find a space within that remains calm, even as the world turns. You'll find home. Not in fixing, but in presence. Not in power, but in peace.
Let go of desire, compassion is the root. Transform the mind, peace is infinite. Keep the heart still, accept the present. Find freedom when you stop resisting.
Chapter 5, The Sacred Pause, Awakening Through Mindful Living. There is a silence deeper than stillness. A calm that isn't the lack of sound, but the presence of full attention. And in that calm, life starts to unfold, not as a race to win, not as a problem to solve, but as a moment to experience. This is the gift of mindful living. To be here. Fully. Softly. Awake with this breath, not the last, not the next. In a world where our minds are pulled in every direction, back into memories, forward into fear, mindfulness becomes the sacred pause. The gentle return. The return to the only place we truly live, this moment. The Buddha once shared, do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, bring the mind to this moment. Because this moment is more than a second passing by. It is an entryway. And shelter. A quiet space beyond the noise of what was and the worry of what could be. To live mindfully is not to escape the world, but to meet it, with open eyes and a clear heart. To feel the breath rise and settle. To notice the light on the table. The warmth in your chest when music plays. The scent of tea as if it were the only cup. It sounds simple. But it is not easy. To slow down. To truly listen. To fully feel. To be here. Because we were trained to move fast. To fill each pause with sound. And in all that rushing, we lost something, the ability to feel at home within ourselves. But mindfulness is the remembering. The gentle returning. Again and again. Like a bell calling us back home. There's a story told in a quiet monastery in Thailand, about a young monk named Arun. He was full of energy and often distracted. While others sat in silence, he squirmed. While others walked slowly, he ran ahead. He longed to grow wise, but didn't want to be still. One morning, his teacher gave him a cup of water. Arun, he said, take this to the top of the hill and bring it back, without letting a single drop fall. The boy grinned. That's easy. But on the way up, his thoughts wandered, to food, to childhood games, to the monk he envied. By the time he returned, half the water was gone. The teacher said nothing. He simply refilled the cup. Try again, he said gently. This time, Arun focused only on the cup. His steps were slow. His breath steady. And when he came back, the water remained. The teacher looked at him and said, this cup is your life. The water is your peace. When your thoughts wander, peace fades. But when you are present, your life stays whole. From that day on, Arun still laughed and played, but something within him had shifted. He began to notice more, the tree outside his window, the soft echo of footsteps, the rhythm of his own pulse. He had found a treasure hidden in everyday life. And that treasure waits for all of us. Mindfulness is not about being flawless. It's not about staying calm all the time. It's about noticing when we've left ourselves, and choosing to return. Return to the breath. Return to the body. Return to now. And in that return, the way we face the world changes. We react less. We respond more. We stop judging, and begin observing. We move slower, and feel deeper. With mindfulness, the ordinary becomes meaningful. Washing a dish becomes a quiet practice. A conversation becomes a shared presence. Even discomfort becomes something we can hold, not something we must escape. When we are truly here, tension softens. Thoughts clear. The tight knot inside begins to loosen, and beneath it, we find a space that feels gentle, steady, and kind. That space is your real home. It was never lost. It was simply waiting for your attention to return. Even now, as these words reach you, pause. Notice the breath. Feel your hands. Be with this moment, not in theory, but in truth. You are not falling behind. You are not broken. You are not late to your own story. You are here. And here is enough. So carry mindfulness with you, not as armor, but as a quiet light. Let it guide your steps through busy days. Let it walk beside you in both calm and chaos. Let it remind you that no moment is too small to care for, not the breeze, not the breath, not the sound of your own heart. And when your thoughts drift, as they will, invite them back. With kindness, with patience, with presence. Because every moment is a seed. And what you care for with awareness, blossoms into peace. Mindfulness is not the finish line. It is the way. It is the breath that lives between each thought. The pause between waves. The quiet place where your soul stretches wide and remembers, I am alive.
In the stillness of the mind, the breath is the path to peace. Let go, and the future will find its way. In each moment, be present, like the wave that touches the shore. Embrace the now, and in that embrace, find freedom.
Chapter 6, Transforming the Mind, the Alchemy of Awakening. The mind is both a garden and a wave. It holds the seeds of struggle and the roots of peace. What grows depends not on fate, but on how we care, what we focus on, what we nurture, what we allow to rise and pass. In Buddhist teaching, we are not told to suppress the mind, nor to fear it. We are invited to observe it, with calm attention, with patience, with care. For an untrained mind can be a trap. But a mind seen clearly becomes a doorway. Many people live like this: a thought appears, I'm not enough, they don't care, this will never improve, and without pause, they believe it. They react. They spiral. They suffer. But the Buddha taught, you are not your thoughts. You are the one who sees them. And in that seeing, change begins. Picture your mind as a wide sky. Thoughts are clouds. Emotions are passing weather. Some days are bright. Some bring storms. But the sky does not struggle. It doesn't hold on. It allows, and remains untouched. Your awareness is that sky. And suffering begins the moment you forget. But noticing is only the start. To transform the mind, we must return again and again, to stillness, to noticing, to presence. This is meditation. Not running away from thought, but meeting it. Not forcing silence, but finding clarity. Each time you sit quietly, you train the mind to soften, to settle, to remember, you are not the storm. You are the space it moves through. There's a story from the forest hills of Sri Lanka, about a monk named Anicca. He had given up the world, but inside, it followed him. His thoughts kept spinning, memories, worries, comparisons. Though he chanted and practiced, peace felt distant. One evening, under a pale moon, he sat with his teacher and said, I've left the city, but the city still lives in me. The teacher placed a bowl of water between them. Look at the surface, he said. Anicca leaned in. It's shaking. The moon is broken. Wait, the teacher said. They sat. The bowl settled. The water calmed. Now look again. Anicca saw clearly. The moon is whole. The teacher nodded. The moon was never broken. The water was simply disturbed. Your mind is the same. Don't try to fix the moon, calm the water. That night, Anicca stopped fighting his thoughts. He watched. He allowed. Slowly, the mind grew still. And in that quiet, he no longer saw the mind as a problem, but as a mirror. This is the path of true change. Not rejection. Not force. But understanding. In Buddhism, it is called awaken, cultivating the mind. Like soil, the mind can be turned, nourished, reshaped. Mindfulness is the light. compassion, the water, and wisdom, the root that holds it all together. You may wonder, not by fighting them, but by seeing them fully. A thought like "I've failed" is just a shape in the sky. When believed, it darkens the day. When watched, it passes. You simply say, "I see you." And in that seeing, its power fades. The change is quiet, but deep, from reaction to awareness, from judgment to kindness, from confusion to clarity. The goal is not to stop thinking. Thoughts will come, just as breath will move. The goal is to stop being ruled by those thoughts. To notice them as visitors, not as truth. As waves, not identity. This is not quick work. It takes courage to sit with what's inside. It takes patience to watch patterns without blame. But slowly, the way you relate to the mind begins to shift. You stop being at its mercy, and begin to guide it. You start to see, behind every sharp thought is an old wound. Behind every restless thought, a fear. And behind every kind thought, a glimpse of who you truly are. This is more than reflection. This is release. The Buddha did not find freedom by escaping thought. He found it by staying with the mind, beneath a Bodhi tree, and watching deeply. He saw its stories, its illusions, its beauty, its chaos. And he knew, this is not who I am. And in that knowing, he woke up. From that moment, peace was no longer a hope. It was the ground he stood on. Every feeling became a guide. Every challenge, a lesson. Even shadows became light. This journey is not about perfection. Storms will still come. You will forget. But the difference is this: you will no longer fear the waves. You will sit within the mind, not as its prisoner, but as its companion. You will become the one who understands, behind every thought is a quiet place, and in that place lives your truest self. So let the thoughts rise. Let the feelings move. Let doubt speak if it must. And stay. Watch. Feel. The mind, when met with patience, will soften. It is not your enemy. It is your student. Not your ruler. Your reflection. And every time you choose steadiness over reaction, compassion over control, presence over panic, you change more than thought. You change your path. The mind can hold suffering, or it can hold awakening. And a shift begins here.
The mind is like the sky, thoughts are like the clouds. Do not hold them, just let them pass. In stillness, the truth is found, not in fighting, but in watching. Embrace each thought, and it will lose its power.
What you've just heard wasn't a lesson. It was a mirror. And if something within you softened, even for a moment, then this journey was already worth it. You don't need to rush back into the world. Let the stillness linger. Let it echo between your thoughts, like a bell after it's rung. At Silent Wisdom, we don't end with applause. We end with return. Return to breath. Return to presence. Return to the part of you that remembers. You are already whole. So take this peace with you. Not as an idea, but as a way of being. And whenever you forget, we'll be right here, waiting in the silence.
All conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with true insight, one becomes disenchanted with suffering. This is the path of purification.